Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm here with, do I pronounce it Quandary? How I pronounce it? 'Cause
So my name is Laquana Lampley, but I go by Quana.
Laquanda. Okay. Okay. I just want to get it right now because I just want, to, I want to represent you in the right way.
Yes, it's Quana.
Quanda, yes. Okay. And she just written a book called How to Fly in the Rain. Now, when you wrote the book, what were you thinking about when you wrote the book?
So actually the name came to me in a dream, and I seen like this beautiful butterfly, and it was like that was the title. I learned how to fly in the rain. And so when I started writing the book, I thought that it was just going to be basically a memoir of my life. But once I actually started writing it, well, I wrote it and then I read it and I was like, yeah, that's not really what I wanted it to look like. Not so much a memoir, but something to focus more on the healing and not the problem, more of the solution. So I revamped it and wrote it in the finished product. I learned how to fly in the rain, where it's now a book of healing and the journey to healing with the story of resilience. That no matter what happens, if life give you lemons, you can make lemonade and you can still win.
And this person called this is entitled "Flying in the Rain" from her book. And tell us about and let us know what your story is.
So, um, my story is a lot. I'm a single mother. I've just dealt with a lot of different issues. I've been without before. I've had to stay with other people. I've had the struggles of life. I've dealt with grief. I lost my mom in 2019. I've dealt with, in the book talks about how you deal with depression, but you know who God is and you don't really want to speak of that's what it really is. And so you just keep trying to go through life the best way you know how and being strong and not really speaking of your issues. But then I kind of tried to manifest like life is going to get better. I had high hopes, but before I seen it get better, I seen it get really worse. And this time it was without my mom. So I had to go through the journey of grief. And what I did knew was to call on Jesus. I couldn't no more. Like I was too upset with him for what I felt like I was going through. So I had to learn how to let all that go and kind of journey through life. And like I say, I wrote the book to talk about it a little bit, but focus more on the solutions of how you can be okay versus all of this happened to me and I don't know what to do.
And what are some solutions what are some solutions that you come with in your life?
Well, first and foremost, to depend on God for everything. That no matter what happens, as long as He is with you, you can make it.
And and your book is and when you and when you said and when you think of the book "Flying in the Rain," um what I put down for the description of this podcast is we can fly when the rains of life come on us. And like you've had many rains of life that have tried to bring you down.
Yes.
And what I say and did your upbringing have something to do with your resilience?
Absolutely. I was brought up in the church. I talk about that a little bit in my book. I was brought up in the church. I went often. I was a singer, a dancer, a usher at a time. I did so much within the church. I come from a very religious slash spiritual family. My mom, grandma, aunties, all of them are women in ministry, and yeah, I church was really all I knew for a long time. Like I knew go to school Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends it's church. I come from a very Christian household, and like I said, so it was really hard for me at the beginning where I was dealing with just different things in life, and I could not call. Well, the only thing that because of what I was taught growing up was to call on Jesus, so that's all I would do. But then it's like I was calling on him, waiting for him to work everything out, but then things just kept happening. And then the biggest tragedy of my life happened is I lose my mom. Now I'm upset with him and I don't want to call on him. And he's the only person I know that can help me through it, but I'm upset. I don't want to call. So I have to learn how to let it go, how to heal, and how to go through the anger stage and move forward to fly.
So what you're saying is those past hurts and those disappointments, they sometimes weigh us down. Is
Yes.
that
But
what
you
you're saying?
Yes, but you can't let it keep you down. Just, stay faithful. And even when one of my quotes I say in my book is even when my wings got wet, I still had to learn to fly because I knew that I couldn't stop. I have a 12-year-old and she was dependent on me.
Yeah, it's kind of like today. I was coming home in my wheelchair in the rain, but I kept on pushing
Yes.
till I got home.
Mhm.
I was a little wet now, but I got here.
Mhm.
You see, I didn't let the rain stop me from getting home. And and when you think of that, what is your main motivation besides God to give you the strength to make it through?
My
I know it's
daughter.
your family, but what's your main
My daughter.
motivation?
My daughter. My daughter is my main motivation. I know that she's dependent on me, and so I got to keep going even when it's hard for her.
So we have to have a goal to reach for. Is that what you're saying? We have to have a goal in life to reach for.
Yes.
And for those who don't, and want to say, and for those out there who don't see themselves reaching that goal, um, um, I want to say what which what which tell them.
So for people out there who don't see themselves reaching a goal, I say keep trying. You only lose when you give up. But as long as you keep trying, keep flying, you gonna make it because especially with God on your side, he has not he won't fail us. His word cannot come back void. And the Bible says that all things work together for the good of them. So if you just stay focused, that even when it just seems so far away, just stay focused and be like, I got this. I'm gonna make it there. But it's when we quit, we don't know what's on the other side. So we just can't quit. We have to keep going, and it's gonna get hard, it's gonna get tough, but we cannot allow it to break us.
Yeah, my grandma had this saying, "Bend don't break."
It's good.
Bend don't break. You may bend to the right, may bend to the left, but don't break.
Hmm.
Yes, and I see it this way: we're traveling through a tunnel, and at the end of that tunnel is a light. If we stop moving, we will never reach the light at the at the at the end of the tunnel.
We'll never see the light at the end of the tunnel if we give up too quickly. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So as you were writing the book, you said that you realized that it was more than your what you went through. Can you explain what told you that?
So when I was first writing, it was more of it was just a lot. Really, just I took a writer's course. I knew that, so I always said I'm gonna write a book out of just because I was going through different things in life, and whether they were good or bad, I used to be like, "Where's that little man that to jump out and tell me this a prank?" But it was always my reality. So I just took a couple of writers courses, and the first thing they said to do was to write. And they like showed us other cool ways, like just talking to yourself on all of that. So I started doing that, and before I knew it, there was a book written. And I just started with, as a child, this happened and this happened, and just started talking about different stories in life. But when I went back to read it, it wasn't what the vision that I had for my book. My vision is to encourage, inspire, and to push and motivate people to keep going. And the first version that I wrote, it just sounded like a lot of talking. It didn't even fit really with my title. I learned how to fly in the rain. So I put it down, and I started back writing last year, 2021, in December. And at that moment, the words just started flowing, and I was excited about the finished product. And at that moment, I realized what I was saying flowed with my title that I had years ago. I learned how to fly in the rain, and I talked about just dealing with different mental illness, like, well, just dealing with depression, because in the book I talk about how I have to deal with depression in one way, but I didn't know that it was going to be like that. It was a totally different thing once I lost my mom, and it was the grief in it, and just other general things, like I talk a little bit about church hurt and just other things in life that people may go through, and it may just seem like the end. But I just want to say, like, you can still make it even when it looks like you can't. Like, just stay focused. Like how I just had to know God, and I got to know God in a whole different way from what I've known Him my whole life, from what I've heard everybody talk about. I got to know Him like me, and He's been like all of that. He's supplier of all of my needs and all of that. So my book was written to encourage, to like a daily devotion type thing, to inspire. Like, I want the vision for the book is when you're going through something, it's something in this book that you can flip through the pages and like, okay, I'm not the only one who's been through this. I am not alone. I'm gonna be okay. And it has like some prayers in there, and it helps. It's supposed to help you push to get, because sometimes you just need a little push.
That's very good. With this being Mental Health Month, can you speak more on how on how the depression had you?
So originally, I think I wasn't sure. Like, I've never really had mental health diagnosis or anything like that. But 2019 was really a struggle for my life, and it was so much going on from January. Like, just starting in January, I lost my, was it January? I think it was January, but I had just dealt with so many things, and I really didn't know exactly what it was. I just knew I had no willpower anymore. I would like just get in my car and be headed to work and just feel like I don't feel like going, and would not go. And it was just many days that I could not get out of bed, and I was too ashamed to say, "Oh, this is depression," and what it looked like. And it wasn't until I finally made me a therapy appointment, and I went and I read the sheet filling out the paperwork, and I was like, I feel everything on this paper except for suicidal and homicidal. And I did my first therapy appointment, and then I didn't really like, once it was over, I was like, I feel worse than I did when I came. And so at that point, I never went back, and I just tried to solely really kind of depend on God to get me through. And I am the strong friend who don't really want to acknowledge that this is what I'm going through. And so I never said anything. And was going through like just struggling like really bad mentally, and I never felt like that in my life. And so June of that year, May 30th of that year, I was just like, these first 6 months of the year has been horrible, but I'm not going to have my next 6 months be nowhere near it. It's going to be better. I'm going to see God's favor over my life, all of that. And I spoke like and manifested all this stuff into my life. But June 5th, my mom died. That wasn't the plan. So it was like, hold on, that's not it. And now, outside of everything that I was already dealing with, trying to just be stable in my mind and be a mother and work, all of this stuff, you take my mother from me. And I'm like, how do I deal with this? I didn't really know how to grieve, the healthy way of grieving, or anything about that. And now because I grew up in church, the first thing people say is, oh, they're in a better place. You don't question God, all of that. So I didn't want to say the wrong things. I didn't want nobody judging me. So I just kept a lot of it in. But the person that I felt like I needed the most, I could not call on them. So now I was in a deeper dark place than I was before. Like I was intending to be pulled out of that dark place, but instead of being pulled out, I went deeper in. And now I felt like I was so far in, I didn't know how to get out. And the person I knew for sure who could take me out, because he was carrying me that whole time, but I was too afraid to call on him. Well, not even afraid, too upset to call on him. So I didn't. And I was just stuck in a deep, deep, dark place in my life. And I was too ashamed of telling anybody.
Yeah, I kind of went through the same thing because I had strokes when I was 11 years old. And all my friends left me, and I was an angry young man, But I did attempt suicide. I cut major arteries, and they would dry up just as fast as I cut them. So I can relate to what you're going through. Well, I can relate to what you were what you were feeling, because I saw all my friends outside playing, and I was in the house, couldn't move, couldn't do nothing like that. And I just felt isolated. I felt like I was nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I went deeper into the depression. So 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 um so so what do we do? So what do we do when that thing that we depend on is not there for us? When that depression or disappointment happen in our lives.
So I don't know what other people depend on, but what I depend on is God. And it wasn't that he wasn't there, it was that I didn't want to talk to him because I felt like he was the reason that I was in that situation. Like I said, I manifested in the air, and I believed and had faith that things were going to get better. But before they did that, my mom died. So I was really in an anger stage with God, and I couldn't tell nobody because I didn't want to be judged, because I grew up Christian in a household and around people who, oh, God knows what he's doing. It's all in his plan. And it's like, this couldn't possibly be God's plan. How? Like, what about me is the type of thing that I was thinking. So I so to answer your question, I just don't think that what I depended on wasn't there. I think that he was absolutely there. I just didn't want to talk to him. And the good thing about him, that even though I didn't want to talk to him, he still was there. It was many times where he would show me and let me be the one to encourage myself. I could be like crying at night and just really struggling with even my depression and my darkness myself, and someone to call and be like, hey, I'm dealing with this, can you pray for me? And or we'll be having a conversation, and as I'm encouraging them, I'm encouraging myself, because as I'm talking, I'm like, man, you, that's good, you listen to yourself. And so I just learned at that time to know God on a whole different level, that even when we give up on him, he never gives up on us.
So what you're saying is sometimes we don't see the help as sometimes we don't see the help that person's giving us, because sometimes our emotions get in the way. Like you
Yes.
were angry, so you couldn't see the help that you were getting.
Yes.
Like I was upset, so I couldn't see the path for my life. Because for me, the isolation in my life, it made me Travis today.
Right.
Without me going through that, I would not be Travis today. You know, like a butterfly.
Like a
If you know what why if we were to help if we were to help that butterfly, when we were to help the butterfly out of that cocoon, that butterfly could not fly. He or she has to struggle to get out that cocoon. They have to fight. It's not always good. It's not always roses. It's not always good times. But when I say when that butterfly comes out, it has the strength to fly.
mm-hmm.
That's what I realized in my life. I realized that all those hard times, all those times when I cried at night, all those times when I had to fight and struggle, they made me who I am today.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I actually talk about that in my book. There's a chapter called The Butterfly, and it talks about how when you're going through life, no one's looking for a caterpillar. Like caterpillars, whatever. You never hear nobody say, oh, that's a beautiful caterpillar or anything like that. Caterpillars are just there. Everybody's looking for the butterfly. Oh, that's a beautiful butterfly. People love butterflies. But the, like you said, the caterpillar go through so much to become a butterfly. And so in my book, I speak about that, how you just have to keep going, that even though, like you say, it may get hard, it may get tough, you don't understand, what you see in the end is this beautiful butterfly. And you look back like, I started from there, but look where I am now. Look who I am now. Like, I'm not who I used to be. The transformation becomes so amazing.
And from that point, if that caterpillar had not been born, if that caterpillar had didn't eat leaves, the butterfly would not be there.
Absolutely.
So that tells us that our small beginnings can become a great story in our lives.
Yes.
A lot of times we look at people and we see how great they are, but we don't see what they went through to get there.
Absolutely.
They could have went through hell and high water. They could have went through a whole lot to get there.
Mm-hmm.
All we see is their glory,
Yep.
but we don't know their story.
Mm-hmm.
And once that caterpillar goes in that cocoon, it's isolated from the world.
Mm-hmm.
Mama not there, dad not there, brother not there. That's that caterpillar all by him or himself
Mm-hmm.
to deal with his issues, to deal with his or her issues.
Mm-hmm.
Were you ever isolated were you ever isolated in a time in your life?
Oh yes, definitely. I pretty much, for the most part, dealt with my depression by myself, not because I had to or wanted to. It was because, like I said, I was too afraid to say, this is where I am. I didn't want to really acknowledge it. So I isolated myself. I dealt with everything by myself. And I didn't want people to really know what that I was really struggling, because everybody knows me as Goofy Quana, Strong Quana, all of that. And I didn't want that to be taken away from me. So I struggled alone. And I think that's what made it so much harder to get to be pulled out of that dark place.
So to all those out there who are dealing with depression or mental issues, let's reach out for help.
Yes.
Let's reach out for help. Because if we try doing it on our own, on our own by ourselves, we just may stay in that thing or that situation longer than usual.
Yes. And it's more people. You may feel alone. To all of those who are out there struggling with that, you may feel alone, but it's more people dealing with the same thing than you would ever know. It's just like so many of us have a problem and struggle with actually saying it. But life is really short and you are worth it. You are loved. Like, yes, let's just get help. Talk to somebody, even if you feel like you can't talk, write it down and send a note to somebody close. There's a lot of crisis hotlines. It's a lot of free help also out here. So, I can help you. Reach out to me at QuantaTheAuthor at Gmail, Facebook, or Instagram. I can send you some resources, because it's really important to get help for our mental health.
Yes, because if we're not mentally healthy, that can affect that can affect our bodies physically, our bodies physically too. You
Yes.
know, a lot of times the migraines and the pains in our bodies and the ulcers come in our bodies, they come because we worry too much. Yes. So let's see here. Where can I get the book?
So I am on Instagram and Facebook. You can reach out to me at QuantaTheAuthor. Also the book is on Amazon. I Learned How to Fly in the Rain. Yeah, those are the places that you can get the book for now.
And I see your shirt too.
Yes, I I have shirts. You definitely have to reach out to me for a shirt. But yes, I have shirts. I just did my book signing on April 23rd. So I had made these shirts actually myself, and I had some pins, and it was really amazing and I loved it. So yeah, you can also buy a shirt. You just have to reach out to me at QuantaTheAuthor on Instagram, QuantaTheAuthor on Facebook, or QuantaTheAuthor at gmail.com. Any of those, you can reach me, get in contact with me.
You know what? I have the same mission that you got because mine's called "Don't Give Up." That's my book called "Don't Give Up." It talks about how in life sometimes you can be disappointed and let down.
Yes.
And I use this acronym push, praise until something happens.
Yes, I've heard of that. That's good.
Yeah, I use that a whole lot because if we would only focus on the good in the situation, we just may be able to get to the point of victory in our lives.
Amen.
So, you said your book talks about the season of caterpillar and a butterfly. What else does it talk about without giving us too much?
It's just like I said, it's just a story of resilience. So it talks about just how it talks about how you can still win through life. It talks about church hurt. Um, church hurt. It talks about learning to speak. Yeah, you have to read it. It talks about learning to speak, mental exhaustion, and the midnight hours. Letting go of anger and God's grace and favor. It has a lot of, like I say, devotional type stuff to let you know that if you're going through this, you'll be okay as long as you don't give up. Like just keep flying, keep believing, keep trusting. Everything is going to be fine. That when life give you lemons, you definitely can make lemonade.
Yes. Well, I can say that your book is one that's needed in the world today, especially with this situation going through the pandemic,
Yes, yes,
because a lot of people lost jobs, lost loved ones, a lot of people have lost things.
yes.
Did you I want to say? Did you go through anything that what in the pandemic? How are you last year? The pandemic. Were you okay or were you? How were you?
Um, 2020, it's 2020, so 2021. 2021, I think I was, it was different for everybody, you know. So I think like everybody, I had my ups and downs. But the pandemic definitely taught me so much. Like we take so many things for granted because it was like we couldn't see people for, without being afraid of, and still really now because we're still in a pandemic, but it's hard to be around people not knowing what they have. So um it taught me that the presence of people is really important because people were really struggling, like things that we were really used to, like gathering for graduations, weddings, birthday parties, churches, schools, all of that. We take it for granted and we didn't realize it until we no longer had the option, and then it was like just taken away from us overnight. Like it really taught me how life just changes because the pandemic was in 20 started in 2020, and my daughter's birthday is February 24th, and that's actually the last time I was able to go to a restaurant. I didn't have to worry about only so many people can sit at a certain table because of COVID, or only, we can still like kind of make reservations for stuff. Now things are slowly starting to open back up, but you still can't sit your party all together. It's hard for people to go to jobs or keep jobs, all of that. And it's like everything just happened overnight. And so it really taught me to like not take time for granted.
So what you're saying, the pandemic was a good thing for us too, because it taught us
The
about
value of life.
what's important.
Yes, the value. Yes, absolutely. The value of life.
Again, that was a negative thing that was supposed to bring us down. But it's all in how we look at it. Do we see the glass as half empty or as half full?
Exactly.
And I like your analogy about the butterfly and the caterpillar. I love that.
Thank you.
And just tell me, what are your? I know your goal is to support others through this book. I know that you hope that they grow and flourish into people who see themselves as somebody important. Is that true?
Yeah, that's partially. I want to help others heal, to not focus on the problem, but focus on the solution. I want to let them know that they're not alone and that we all have been through things, but it's only when we quit is when we don't see the end. As long as we keep, like we say, flying, going on, running, however you got to do it, as long as you keep going, you're gonna be okay. And to always keep God first. Yeah, that's my goal. Is when you are struggling with something, I want you to just be able to pick up I learned how to fly in the rain, and find some type of inspiration, encouragement out of this book that could help motivate you to keep going.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
So I can read, a little bit of the butterfly chapter if you would like.
Yes, yes, I like that. Just a small little bit, just small tip, but you ain't get it all way. Just a small little hint now. I learned
Okay.
that lesson one time. I read a whole chapter and then read the whole book. So just read a little bit now.
No, I'm just gonna do a little bit. So before the caterpillar can become the butterfly, the caterpillar has to experience being small and not wanted. Nobody is out looking for a caterpillar and describing it as beautiful per se. Despite all the caterpillar Despite all, the caterpillar doesn't give up, but keeps its eye on the prize of one day becoming a beautiful butterfly. That one day, everyone will admire it. If the caterpillar doesn't stay focused and lets the world get them down, then the caterpillar will die and never get to see its better days, restoration, and beauty. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. We were just talking about the caterpillar, and I just want to say
Yeah.
how, like I said in the book, if you give up, you just won't see your better days.
Yes. That's great. That's a great, like I said, I love your analogy with the butterfly and the caterpillar and things like that because sometimes we see ourselves as small and instant, small and sometimes we say we're not married in this world.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we just keep on doing what we're doing, we just may get to the point of victory.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, keep like I said, don't keep like you said, keep pushing. Don't give up, and that's what we gotta do. And my guest was Quanah, the author, and you can find her at Facebook and Instagram at Quanah, the author, or Author at gmail.com. Like, thank her for being on the show. There she goes. She's back now. Yes, yes. We had some technical difference, right? Okay. We had some technical difference,
Yeah.
but we worked it out.
Yes.
Just like this happened.
Right.
Just like this happened.
Right.
Like this, just like that was mishap right here. But she came back. She kept on fighting the struggle. She came back.
Right.
That was the perfect segue in that worked out. That worked out. That worked out. That worked out perfectly. You lost connection and you came back.
That's good. Lost connection and you came back. That's good.
You see what others would see as a negative in our lives, lose connection. Just like our internet sometimes lose connection.
Right.
But it comes back.
Right.
It comes back. In our life, sometimes we're gonna lose connections to friends, to jobs, to whatever. But no, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back to you. Just know that.
Mm-hmm.
Just know that. Just know it's gonna come back to you. I tell you something. I tell you something that I tell you something that really blew my mind. You went away and came back. The perfect segue of not giving up
Right.
and now see your whole shirt now. Yeah. So that's great. That's so wonderful. Mm. So for those who are dealing with issues in their lives, I don't care if it's mental, emotional, or physical. Know that it's gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be fine if you just hang in there a little while longer. Hang in there, y'all. Don't give up. Are there any last words to our audience?
Um, Again, follow me on social media at Quantita Arthur on Instagram, Quantita Arthur on Facebook, and you can reach out to me also to connect at quantitaarthur@gmail.com. Um, Let me know if you would like a book or a t-shirt. Also, you can look up I Learned How to Fly in the Rain by Laquana Lampley on Amazon. You can buy the Kindle version or the paperback version. And I appreciate everybody for the support and the love. And I thank you for having me. It's been fun. It's been great. And thank you for your encouragement. And I hope that I was able to encourage you.
Yes, you were. I got to highlight one sponsor here today. So let me get it up and pull it up. Just 1 second. I'm pull it right now. That sponsor is Jennifer Geigel, Epicure Leader. That's JENNEFIR at Epicure EPICUR Leader. And her website is Jennifer Geigel at epicure.com. So and I always say this: don't give up on your dreams, hopes, and visions. Keep striving, keep pushing, and always believe in yourself.
Always.
Always believe in yourself. Because if you do, you just might make it. Have a great day and thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good night.